Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Tonight, we are talking about some breaking reporting that is coming out of Arizona in the Nancy Guthrie case. And this one is raising serious questions. Why would a tip going to the FBI rattle the sheriff? Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old and she is still missing in Tucson, Arizona. Her family still to this day has no answers. And now, according to reporting from Brian Entin and NewsNation, there is new layers in the Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, affectionately known as Sheriff Doofy. The FBI and the county officials who say she was scolded after information shared to the investigators. Tonight, we're going to be looking much deeper into that and why something Brian said really stuck out to me. We're going to talk about on all of that on the other side of this. Hang tight.
I've walked through storms in scars and grace. Smile through pain with a painted face.
You better sing.
They call me too loud, too much, too strong. But honey, that's the reason I belong. Every scar's a scripture, every tear's a hymn. I found my worth where the light grew dim. They tried to break me, but here's a twist. I turned my pain into a clenched fist. I'm an unbreakable woman, born of fire and power. Shine like grace in a reckless world. You can test my faith, you can shake my plan, but I'll rise again. Just watch me stand. I've been whispered about and written off, judged by the gloss, not the cause. But God don't build weak hearts from gold. He made me fierce and he made me bold. I bend, I pray, I roar, I rise with mascara, tears and battle cries. Don't need your crown, I forge my own. From ashes, honey, I build my throne. I'm in a breakable soul, dressed in truth and pearls. The fire don't scare me, it lights my world. You can doubt my voice, but you'll hear my name. I'm holy and holy, and I'm done with shame. For everyone called too much, too loud, too real. You're not to anything. You're exactly what power looks like. I'm in a unbreakable soul. Through the fire and flame, my scars a story, my strength my faith. Faith in my heart, fire in my clothes, energy mine. Clutch them pearls.
Let's go, girls. How you doing? I'll hit the thumbs up as we're rolling in. Thank you so much, helicopter. Deb. Queen
coming in clutch. Better tighten the pearls, dropping cold facts. Got the truth for the world. No smoke, no fluff, just the real that we trust. Hold on to your seat, cause I'm coming in clutch. Coming in clutch.
Welcome and thank you. Well, hello, 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 everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you all so much for joining me. Really do appreciate your time. You could have chosen to be anywhere on YouTube. You have a lot of options, anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world, and you chose to be right here. I know your time is very valuable, and I do appreciate you spending some time with me. Today is May 14th, 2026. It is currently 8:38 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. Hello, beautiful girls. Thank you all so much for joining me. Really, really do appreciate you all. Tonight, we are talking about the Nancy Guthrie case. Very interesting information that is Brian Entin is reporting in NewsNation. Of course, Brian Entin has his own YouTube channel, and he also reports with NewsNation. It's very something that he says in there that strikes me very interesting. A lot of us have thought about the Nancy Guthrie case. What's the motive other than who is, what's the motive? And to this day, we still don't know, but we can make some theories and have some opinions on that. And I really think, as a lot of you it seemingly do, that this kind of boils down to either money or she knows something. Maybe she wasn't supposed to. Brian Entin gets some information from the county assessor. Sheriff Nanos scolds her. Very awkward phone call that goes on, and he says that the FBI was wanting some information regarding into the Nancy Guthrie case, and he apparently didn't want to give it out. Now, we kind of known for quite a long time that Sheriff Nanos has a big ass chip on his shoulder from the FBI. They have investigated him before, and it seems like he's got that chip still remaining on his shoulder. But you can't allow something like that to happen whenever there is a missing human being. You've got to take your personal grudges aside, right? For the common good of the people who voted for him, and most importantly for Nancy and her family. So we got a lot to get into, guys. Before we get started, if you would be so kind and do me a big favor, you know what I'm going to ask you, please hit that thumbs up button. Would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you would share this live stream out, hit that share button, copy that link, and drop it in any of your favorite social media. Greatly appreciate that. I've seen you guys sharing it all over. Thank you. Also, if you would hype this video, you get 3 hypes a week. If you don't use it, you lose it. And you have to do it on your phone, and it has to be after the live stream. The more you participate in chat, the more hype points you get. It's absolutely free, and it's like a big, big super thumbs up, if you will. So you guys have been doing that, and I really appreciate that. Again, I think it has to be on a mobile device, your phone, a tablet, something like that. So, yeah, a lot to get into this evening. And I have some thoughts on just a little thing Brian said that's interesting to me. Thank you so much, Helicopter Grandma. Good to see you, my dear. You're very kind to me. Really appreciate that. Good to see you. Thank you so much. And thank you for gifting. 2 pearl necklaces. If you received one of those, make sure you give our helicopter grandma a big thank you. Always a pleasure, and thank you so much for your support, my friend. Hey, Deb, good to see you, girl. Thank you so much. Love our tail family. Thank you, everyone. We love you too, darling. Appreciate you very, very much. So good to see you, and thank you for your support. Speaking of, I had Pearl, my spider monkey, live earlier on my other channel. She was a mess. She was so hyper. She was wringing out my hair. It was so bad. Thank you so much, Deb. Appreciate you very much. And Angel, good to see you, my dear. Well, family as well, my dear. Good to see you. Thank you for your support. And Wendy, you are an OG 17 months. That's amazing. Thank you for 17 months of continuous support. Really appreciate that, my friend. Truly. Thank you so very, very much. And best channel on YouTube. Love you all. Thank you so much, Wendy. Appreciate you, my friend. And Miss Dolores, she is recovered from her flu. Thank God. Thank you so much, Miss Dolores. Appreciate you very much, man. Good to see you. Okay, guys. So it's uh, going to be probably a long one. So get ready. We got a lot to cover. Um, we're going to start with some interesting. Oh, and I missed one of Brian Entin's lives the other day. He said something. I've got it clipped that I want to talk about. I didn't even realize uh, he had this person on, and I find it very interesting. And we'll go over all of that. Brian Entin dropped this, I don't know, a few hours ago, and even he seemed shocked about this. And I found this very interesting. Hey, Robin, Angel, John, good to see everyone coming in. All right. Hey, Shannon, good to see you, my dear. Okay, here we go. We're going to give credit where credit is due, of course. Brian Entin from Brian Entin's channel, and he also works for, of course, NewsNation. Brian's one of the best investigative journalists, in my opinion. People trust him, and that's really important because your word is everything on these cases. You can't kiss and tell, so to speak. So we're going to go over something Brian talks about here. And like I said, he says something just kind of off the cuff, but it really triggered something that the more of the why. Here we go. Again, credit goes to Brian Entin. Link is provided in the description. I'm sure most of you have already subbed up to Brian, but if you have not, make sure you sub up to Brian.
Her for providing information to the FBI about the case. Listen to me when I say that again. Pima County official, it's actually the county assessor, and I'm going to get into all the details in a second, but the county assessor says the sheriff got mad at her for giving the FBI information related to the Nancy Guthrie case.
Again, we've known this almost from jump, that there's been so many reports, and it really, Sheriff Nanos' own words, Sheriff Doofy, his own words, that he speaks on the FBI very poorly. Again, I believe it's a chip on his shoulder from prior investigations. They didn't kick him out of being a sheriff right now, but they did recommend recently that there be either state or federal investigators come in. So he's going to have bigger investigations coming up. So I don't see how anyone could vote him back in. Well, and this is so crazy. It doesn't do him any good, right? He can say our federal partners a billion times, but that doesn't change anything. It does not change anything. You can say we work with our federal partners, but doing is another thing. Again, just like the evidence that they had. He sent it to Florida. There was no need. FBI, Kash Patel, no matter how you feel politically about him, I think it said something when the FBI, head of the FBI, came out and was frustrated. You never ever hear anyone, any law enforcement talking negative about law enforcement ever until this case. You know what I mean? So there's that. Did someone say Vet Girl's in here? Did I miss Vet Girl? Okay. All right, here we go. Let's go.
How does that make sense? I've got the whole thing. Everything that she says happened. I'm going to explain it all to you in a minute. Also, there's been an effort to remove the sheriff. I've talked about this before. There was a big meeting with the Board of Supervisors. They actually ended up voting not to remove him, but something did happen. They decided to refer everything that they've found out about the sheriff to the Attorney General for...
The Attorney General. They're referring it to the Attorney General now. And you know why I think that they did that? I think sometimes you don't want to poop in your own backyard. And I feel like, I know it's kind of frustrating that they didn't kick him out, right? But I think that they did this because they were like, we're local. We have to live with this guy. Let's let the Attorney General do it, and they can make that decision. So I think that's why they're referring this to the Attorney General, and they can say, our hands are clean. We just, whatever they came up with, whatever decision they're going to make is what decision they make. You shouldn't have done it, but it wasn't us. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, exactly. Now, what will happen since it's being referred? Well, the Attorney General will launch an investigation and dig really deep. And I think Nanos is going to have some explaining to do. I mean, think about, we went over Sheriff Nanos's other interviews when he was being investigated by the FBI previously. In my opinion, he is either completely reckless or careless, or he's just a dum-dum. I mean, think about the guy that they were investigating, Sheriff Nanos and two other guys, police officers. The one guy was found dead in his neighbor's backyard. They wouldn't allow anyone to investigate it. They wouldn't let them go in. Other police officers, Sheriff Nanos wouldn't, allegedly, it's according to reports, and that he wouldn't let them interview his wife or anything. Talk about some red flags. You damn right. You damn right. I mean, I just think it's weird that this guy supposedly unalived himself in a neighbor's backyard. Like, you just don't really hear that often. I mean, you know what I mean? Holly, thank you so much for 2 months, darling. Appreciate you very, very much. Appreciate your support. I love Justin. Oh, thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you, Miss Holly. Thank you very much for your support, my love. And thank you for gifting a pearl necklace, too. Appreciate that. If you receive that, make sure you thank our dear Holly. And thank you for being a member as well, Miss Holly. Jeannie, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. Really, really do appreciate that. And thank you for being a member here on the Pearl family as well.
Investigation. What does that actually mean? Will there be a state level investigation into the sheriff now? What does this have to even do with the Nancy Guthrie case? How could it impact the investigation? I'm going to talk to one of the county supervisors. That's coming up a little later in this episode. But first, let me get into this situation with the sheriff and the county.
I agree. I think he was hired under false pretenses because he lied on his application about dates and his disciplinary record and all that.
Assessor, because This really caught me off guard. I mean, I knew that there was drama and issues between the Board of Supervisors and the sheriff, but I didn't know that this issue existed between the county assessor and the sheriff. And all of this is coming from a report from the Arizona Republic and journalist Stephanie Murray.
Okay. Who yells at the county assessor other than bitching about how much your yearly taxes are? You know what I mean? Like, who bitches at the assessor? Sheriff Nanos.
And she reports, and this goes back
Listen to this.
now to
Very
February.
important.
She reports that in February, the sheriff and the county assessor, a woman named Suzanne Droubie,
Here we go.
they had a telephone conversation, and the sheriff was upset that the assessor had provided information to the FBI.
Yeah. Sheriff Doofy, also known as Sheriff Nanos, was upset because the FBI wanted information on the Nancy Guthrie case, and she provided it. Now, Nanos, aren't you the one that always talks about working with our federal partners? Yeah, that's you. Even before all of this was going on, I noted something in my head because I had never heard a sheriff say federal partners that many times in a press conference. We're working with our federal partners, our friends, our federal partners. And I thought, what is it? Like, he must like to really say that or something. It was a front. It was nothing more than a front, in my opinion. Yeah. For an 84-year-old woman wanting to give the FBI some information, he's bitching about it.
This is what she said.
Let me just.
She reports that in February, the sheriff and the county assessor, a woman named Suzanne Droubie.
And by the way, take note of the date. February. In February. Right? We're now at 100 days of Nancy Guthrie missing. This is within the first month of Nancy going missing. He's bitching about this. Is it true his nephew or a family member is a friend with Luke? I don't know about that. I can look into that though. I don't know. But it's not as big of a city as you would think, you know what I mean? So he might know someone as well. A lot of people think, it just makes you question. A lot of people thinks that the sheriff is really sus, and you really can't blame them because you think, why the hell is he doing something like this? You know what I mean? Like, why? There either has to be a chip, there has to be a motive behind any decision. You know what I mean? A motive behind any decision. Oh my God, Kelly. Wow. Thank you so much. That is, wow. Thank you. Appreciate that. That is very kind of you. Thank you. My goodness. If you received one of those memberships from our dear Kelly, make sure you thank Kelly for gifting you a pearl necklace. Make sure you take and listen to our members only videos and live streams. Thank you so much, Ms. Kelly. That is incredibly generous of you, my friend. Good to see you. I really do appreciate you, Ms. Kelly. Thank you very much. And Jeannie, again, thank you. And Ms. Holly, thank you so much as well. Appreciate you. Yes, very generous. Thank you so much, Ms. Kelly.
They had a telephone
I don't think I've ever had anyone give maybe 20
conversation.
Thank you.
And the sheriff was upset that the assessor had provided information to the FBI. And this is what she said. She said the tone of the call was unusual. And she said, we're sensitive to the fact that the sheriff is under a lot of stress with all of this. referring to the Nancy Guthrie.
Listen, she's being classy here, right? She's being classy, doing what she's supposed to do. She's being very diplomatic about, we're sensitive to the fact that the sheriff has all of this on him, right? And it's a big investigation. But that even is more reason to be handing it off to the FBI. That's more of a reason. Like, again, I have sympathy that the sheriff's brother died the day after Nancy went missing and all of that. But the way the sheriff has acted, who he had on this case from jump, the homicide investigation, again, being the lead of homicide and never actually solved a homicide, with the maximum being 3 years experience. Again, to me, I think he has rookies in there because of he can tell them what to do. They're new. They haven't been in the police, workforce that long. And so he's a bully. He's a bully, in my opinion.
Situation.
So why not give it?
So she said, we're sensitive to the fact that the sheriff is under a lot of stress with all this.
I know.
But yes, there was a little bit of a negative interaction. It was inferred that we were creating a lot of additional work for the sheriff's department due to us providing this information to the FBI and then them having the response.
Hold on. Wait, did I miss that one? Wait, 1 second.
Stress with all this. But yes, there was a little bit of a negative interaction. It was inferred that we were creating a lot of additional work for the sheriff's department.
Oh, so sheriff is giving her an attitude saying, you're creating more work for me by giving the FBI information. You're giving him more work. And that's what you say, Sheriff Nanos, that our federal partners are assisting us. So how of them assisting you is making more work for you? I'm not really sure how that pans out too well.
Due to us providing this information to the FBI and then them having the responsibility to follow up on all of those leads that were provided.
Okay. Now, Brian is going to say something up here about like perhaps what the FBI wanted. And that's what really sticks out to me right up here. That's what really sticks out to me. And I'll point it out and tell you why.
Sorry, I have something stuck in my throat. So the assessor said, I felt like there was an insinuation that I had done something wrong by cooperating with the FBI. At that particular moment, I felt like...
Like, seriously, name one sheriff in the country that you cooperate with the FBI because the FBI asked you for some information that the county assessor has and you get scolded for it.
I was put in a position where I felt like I almost should apologize, where I know definitely that that was not something that I should be doing. Very bizarre. So what exactly did the assessor do to make the sheriff upset? Well, according to the Arizona Republic, Suzanne Droubie says her office fulfilled a request for information from the FBI, a request for information to aid in the Guthrie investigation. And Droubie called the sheriff.
Okay. To aid in the investigation, right? So what all does an assessor do? We're going to get to that in a moment. She's aiding in giving the information that she knows that could help the FBI. Now, what all could the assessor give the FBI? That's my question. Okay.
To tell him about it would make sense. She's the county assessor. He's the sheriff. They obviously know each other somewhat. So she calls him to tell him about it, and she says he was definitely frustrated. Those were the words she used. Definitely frustrated. Now, Droubie is not revealing exactly what kind of information the FBI was looking for, which good on her. I mean, makes sense she wouldn't want to give those kinds of specifics. But as county assessor, her office would be in charge of keeping track of property and tax assessments, sort of those kinds of things. So perhaps the FBI was trying to find records related to property or tax assessments. But Droubie also said, and this is another quote, it seemed that he was very stressed, very frustrated. I wouldn't.
Okay, just listen to that again real quick.
Makes sense she wouldn't want to give those kinds of specifics. But as county assessor, her office would be in charge of keeping track of property and tax assessments, sort of those kinds of things. So perhaps the FBI was trying to find records related to property or.
Okay. Now, is Justin in a daze or is it frozen? I was looking at something pretty hard, so it could be both. It could be both. It could be both. I don't know. Let me know. Justin, I can see. Ginger, I can see him move and talk. Okay. Hey, Kelsey, good to see you. Is he even her boss? Technically, he isn't even. No, he's not even her boss. Hell no. I mean, I don't think so. I think that no, not technically, no. So, Brian Entin says here again,
in charge of keeping track of property and tax assessments, sort of those kinds of things. So perhaps the FBI was trying to find records related to property or tax assessments. But
okay, to find records related to property or tax assessment, what does the assessor do, right? They have property ownership records, map parcels, right, to see where the property goes. They have property values, property descriptions, mailing addresses, transfers or sales. So to me, that says maybe money here, money henny. But it could be that they just want to see if anything recently changed. It might be that they just want to know the outline of Nancy's property. But payments, liens, 1,000%. And we're going to get more into that in just a moment. Maybe the FBI wanted to find out who owned the home and that was being rented out on the same street Nancy lived on, who moved out right after the disappearance. Very good thought, Esty. Remember, people were moving in and out of that as well. Really is, Deborah. Yes, it's getting very interesting. Also, Sheriff Doofy, also known as Sheriff Nanos, he speaks out today, I think it was today or maybe yesterday, that he knows things that obviously he can't tell us and that they're getting closer and that he does believe there'll be a resolution into that in a little bit, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Why would he reject any additional leads that would help financing? Isn't that his job? It absolutely is, John. It absolutely is. And I've never seen a sheriff want to make things harder on truly a very baffling case to begin with, right? Like if I was the sheriff, I would be kissing the FBI's boots for any help. They are the world's best, right? Top governmental law enforcement in the world. So why would you make it more difficult? other than a little man with a big ass ego.
Droubie also said, and this is another quote,
Listen
it
to
seems
this.
that he was very stressed, very frustrated. I wouldn't categorize it as yelling per se, as much as kind of scolding and expressing frustration with all of the leads he was receiving, their obligation to follow up on them, and that my office was actually doing more harm than good by.
I think of when Brian said scolding, I think of that picture of Nanos like this. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's like, looks like he's a chicken about ready to flog someone. Saying that she might have done more harm than good over giving the FBI her information. Like, I understand that. Okay. And again, let's just think how this sheriff thinks a minute. You always hear in these cases, for instance, don't send in non-credible tips. It provides more work for us. They have to go through every single one of them essentially. But this is not that, right? This is the FBI coming to the county assessor. They are going to her, right? They are requesting that. They obviously have a need for that, not really a want. I mean, they obviously want it, but they need this for some reason. That's how law enforcement works. They do everything for a reason. The FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, is coming to the county assessor saying, we need this whatever information. But Nano says, you're creating more work for me. Who says that? No, the county recorder would have the lien information assessor does the property evaluation, appeals on the issues that property lines, and all additional tax. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. Are you in Canada, Pugs? Or are you in the United States? They investigated Nanos a few years ago. Yes, I think he certainly does. Oh, he does. We, in my opinion,
providing more leads that they just had to follow up with. Now, Droubie says her office's IT team actually came up with a report and submitted it to the FBI. And exactly what was in that report and why the FBI was looking for that information, we don't know. Again, perhaps a list of property owners in the area, something like that would make the most sense to me. But we don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. And she didn't say. Hey, guys, I'm always on the go. I don't usually have much time for cooking. And that is why I absolutely love fact.
You guys can get Brian Entin's factormeal.com. Use the code Entin50.
No refine, and there are first in my code in about other illegal activity. And they can get it for is it so easy? Shows hundreds of data brokers and called in unlimited for I think being created because the sheriff, in his mind, it was a lot of additional work that was being created because we handed this information over. Droubie says she, quote, did not appreciate the phone call. And she said, I thought I was being extremely helpful. So to have that type of a confrontational discussion for doing something that I felt was right was very disappointing. And she told the Arizona Republic that the call ended with another member of the sheriff's department stepping in, who then told Sheriff Nanos to back off and leave the county assessor alone. Droubie said the other official.
Okay, listen.
Have that type of a phone call. We handed this information over. It was a lot of additional work that was being created because we handed this information over. Droubie says she, quote, did not appreciate the phone call. And she said, I thought I was being extremely helpful. So to have that type of a confrontational discussion for doing something that I felt was right was very disappointing.
Yeah, she has every right to be disappointed, right? I mean, let's say you were the county assessor, and then there's Sheriff Doofy, And then there's, right, the FBI. And they say, hi, we need such and such information. We're working on the Nancy Guthrie case. First of all, she doesn't have to pick up the phone and say, hey, Sheriff Nanos, is it okay if I give this to the FBI? No, she doesn't have to do that. Why should she? Why should she? And she shouldn't feel like she's doing something wrong. Yeah, I don't think Nanos is involved. I really don't. I think he's a stubborn control freak, is what I think. And I don't really do I trust him? No, I don't. Um, because of the things we've seen in the past. And but I don't know. Helicopter, thank you so much. Appreciate you again, darling. You're very kind. Thank you for gifting the pearl necklace. You received that pearl necklace. Make sure you thank our dear helicopter gifting that. Thank you so much, dear. Appreciate you. Interesting. Savannah has said, Neil, about Nanos. I agree. And how he has been handling her mom, Nancy's case this far. And again, I get that and agree, but I also understand Savannah's like not wanting to step on toes until it's all said and done as well. You know what I mean? So, but I do think it's, when Sheriff Nanos said everyone's a suspect, including family members, and then the next day when Sheriff Nanos comes out and says, you guys should be ashamed of yourself for even thinking that the family could be involved. And you're like, well, wait, but you just said the day before, including the family. Now we should be ashamed. What happened in that 24 hours? I feel like it was pressure. That's the way I feel. That's the way I feel. Angel kisses. Good to see you, babe. Wonder if Nanos bought his Corvette at MG Motors and a good deal from Zach. I don't think so. But I have a reason for that. I don't think he bought it from there, though. Just my opinion, I'll say. Thank you, Miss Peace Jacks. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much, my love. Good to see you. Passion Flower, it's very interesting. It seems like where he got, a lot of things. That's all I'll say about that. It's like where he got a lot of things to pay for what?
She told the Arizona Republic that the call ended with another member of the sheriff's department stepping in, who then told Sheriff Nanos to back off and leave the county assessor alone. Droubie said the other official said
Who said that? I always missed that part.
Department stepping in, told the Arizona Republic that the call ended with another member of the sheriff's department stepping in, who then told Sheriff Nanos to back off and leave the county assessor alone.
Ooh. So someone else at the Pima County Sheriff's Office said, back off, Barbie, and leave her alone. Can you think of other cases that has all of this shit going on? Every case is messy. Every case that's really mysterious, that there's no answers, it gets messy. But not like this. No, it's usually just like, gossipy kind of things. This, it's law enforcement. It's not even getting along in this. And like I've said from jump of this case, I even with big media and reports, you never see anything that really aligns with each other. You'll have, sources say something here, and then you'll have another outlet say sources say something complete opposite of that, which is very weird in a case, because generally in a case, there might be a little conflicting, but there is kind of a jet stream, if you will, that's kind of heading or facing one way. Not with this. Not with this.
Droubie said the other official said Nanos should not give her a hard time for complying with an FBI request. And then she says the sheriff agreed, thanked her, and told her to have a nice day. So, I mean, talk about like a strange phone call in the middle of one of the
Damn
most
right
high
it is.
profile investigations in the country. Droubie says that before that, she'd never had any bad interactions with the sheriff. She said, quote, up to that point, I had never had any negative interaction with the sheriff at all. I'm kind of chalking it up to a lot of frustration with and immense pressure that he has been under, being thrust into the national spotlight due to this investigation. However, that being said, it was a very uncomfortable, unpleasant conversation. And it's also kind of weird to think about what she said about another official from the sheriff's office getting on the phone and sort of like interrupting the sheriff. It's all very, very strange. Here's one elected county leader, the assessor.
A lot of times it's not so, like, they always say sometimes the cover up's worse than the crime, right? Things are strange. That's for sure, for sure. All right,
And then the sheriff.
watch
And,
this.
and just to remind you, I've reported that the sheriff and the FBI have a dysfunctional relationship, which maybe could explain why the sheriff was frustrated that she was giving information to the FBI. Although, I mean, come on, this woman is still missing. Why would you even get frustrated? But
Exactly.
they do have this dysfunctional relationship, or at least
I mean, the reports are now that it took 4 days before Sheriff Nanos would actually start cooperating with the FBI. I have, which we've read about it, and I've spoke to people as well, and they say it's more like 20 days that even the allegedly Pima County Sheriff's Office was kind of still really not working with the FBI.
did. FBI Director Kash Patel said last week that the FBI was kept out of the investigation for the first 4 days. Remember, he said that he wanted to send DNA from the Nancy Guthrie investigation to Quantico,
Or good to
but
see
the
you, honey.
sheriff instead decided to send the DNA to their private lab in Florida.
They can't.
So there's been some drama and some back and forth.
It's just
Sort of for
protocol.
some context of why the sheriff may have been upset that the assessor was talking to the FBI. I tried reaching out to the assessor, but I didn't get a response. And my sense, based on sources that I have, is that this story that she told the Arizona Republic has been circulating around for a while.
Brandy, they were just messy. And that's all there is to it. The Pima County was just messy, just sloppy, right? Who doesn't take the rug? I mean, for God's sakes, there weren't even any caution tape up for a long time. They left Nancy's shirt outside when they had the dogs out there. They cleared the scene within 36 hours or something. I mean, it just messy across the board. And also, the hair that is being tested, that wasn't found by Pima County. That was found by the FBI. All the FBI is going to do with you, Nanos, is help you. They're just going to make you look good. But it makes me wonder if his office is hiding more and he doesn't want them poking around there. That kind of makes me wonder. Is this why he doesn't want to hand it over? Is this why he doesn't want to work? I believe there's a chip, but does he not want them poking around that little county as much as they actually could. You know what I mean? Leslie, always keeping it real. Thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for your support, my love. We appreciate that. Thank you for being a member as well. Well, I mean, again, if you had the world's best investigation agency, why would you not? Especially on such a high profile case as this. I mean, this is one of the highest profile cases ever.
There are people in town who knew about it, but it just came into the headlines with Assessor Droubie talking to the Arizona Republic. Now, the sheriff has not commented on the situation. He did release a statement on the 100-day mark since Nancy Guthrie went missing.
That's right, Candy.
And the sheriff's office said, as we reach the 100-day mark in this investigation, scientific evidence processing and digital media analysis remain ongoing. PCSD and FBI personnel continue to review.
Okay, Brian's reading that a little fast there. I want you to listen to these words, not just right here. Let's see here. As we reach the 100-day mark in the investigation, scientific evidence processing, okay, and digital media analysis remains ongoing. Pima County Sheriff's Department and FBI personnel continue to review evidence, okay, using established forensic protocols. Investigative teams are also actively pursuing leads and tips, and the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI encourage anyone with relevant information to come forward with established reporting methods. We remain committed to conducting a thorough and comprehensive investigation and appreciate the public's continued patience and cooperation. Okay. So I think that's so interesting. Sheriff Nanos says, yeah, give us, if you have anything, give it to us. But, don't let the, bitching about the, I can't even think of the name right now. Assessor, don't let her give the FBI the information. Yeah, got that.
New evidence using established forensic protocols. Investigative teams are also actively pursuing leads and tips, and the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI encourage anyone with relevant information to come forward through established reporting methods. We remain committed to conducting a thorough and comprehensive investigation and appreciate the public's continued patience and cooperation. So that was the official
That's a good question, Lori. I I thought it was in her bedroom. That's what I've always taken it as. Does anyone know where it was released? Where her phone was found, I've heard in the house, on the kitchen counter, in the garage, and in the car. But there's no solid, really reporting on that I'm aware of. I took it as it was the bedroom, though. But if Nanos is truly inept as he appears, someone else will ultimately step in and take over. I cannot tell if he has a strategy or not. Well, nobody can, but that's the thing, AMG. FBI can't just go in and say, we're taking over now. That's not the way law enforcement works, unfortunately. You can be as incompetent as a hell. And if you don't hand it over or say, I need your assistance, here's everything I've got, I'm laying it out on the table, I'm going to share it with you, let's really work together, then, you see these, especially like cold cases, they'll say, we need new eyes on this case, because sometimes you need fresh eyes to look over something that all of you guys might be missing. It happens every day. Nothing wrong with it. You've given it what you can give.
Sorry, I don't know. I have something in my throat today. That was the official statement from the Pima County Sheriff's Office on the 100-day mark. I said this before, but according to my sources, there are no suspects or solid leads right now behind the scenes. Of course, that could literally change at any moment. They could get more information from the DNA that could come back, or there could be a hot tip that comes in, and I've seen it before. I mean, investigations can take a turn and change.
Hey guys, I'm sorry I can't see your jewels right now, but I will look at them here in a little bit, and I will thank you for them. I see the mods saying you're sending. I'll get to those. I promise you. Thank you.
At any moment. As for the latest on the sheriff and the effort to remove him from office, there was this Board of Supervisors meeting I was telling you guys about Tuesday night. They voted actually not to take action to unseat Sheriff Nanos. Supervisor Steve Christie made a motion to vacate Nanos from his position, but without anyone seconding the motion, it failed. And all of this goes back to
seeking justice. I agree. You guys know, like, I feel absolutely horrible for Savannah and Cameron, and I feel bad for Tommaso and Annie, especially if they had, nothing to do with it, right? But that walk to the flowers, that was 100% PR, in my opinion. 100% PR. You cannot. They would, particularly, in my opinion, Tommaso and Annie, they're very measured, and they are not going to do anything that they don't want to do. You know what I mean? Thank you, Miss Linda. Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Nancy's interior of the house was spotless, like nothing happened. It always was, right? It always was. Nearly all of the reporting has been the narrative from, yeah, it's came from and that's what we're going to get to. Thank you for reminding me about that. The perspective of the family. We've talked about that, but there is some reporting on that I find very interesting. I answered your question. Okay. Thank you, darling. Just don't sit right with me. Where is the real raw emotion? I don't know.
2 allegations that Sheriff Nanos lied under oath about his work history, that he didn't disclose that he was suspended several times at his previous job. And they've been kind of digging into records from when he worked at the El Paso Police Department before he was sheriff. Despite not voting to remove him, the supervisors did express concern about his leadership and his work history at the meeting. And here's where things get interesting. The Board of Supervisors, while they decided not to remove him, they did decide to forward perjury allegations to the Attorney General's office for review.
Okay. So they didn't remove him, but they are sending this to the Attorney General for perjury allegations.
And this perjury allegation, again, goes back to allegations that Sheriff Nanos lied under oath, which is where it would be perjury because it was under oath, right, about his work history. So a lot happening with the sheriff, and unfortunately, you have to imagine this has some kind of impact on the Nancy Guthrie investigation, because when there's this much dysfunction, you can't imagine that wouldn't have some sort of impact, which is unfortunate.
I mean, I think if they really know each other, there needs to be a special attorney general, if that would be the case. That's a good question.
The question, where do things stand now? How could this be impacting the investigation? I want to discuss all those things with Pima County Supervisor Dr. Matt Hines.
Thank you for joining me, Dr. Hines. Okay. I appreciate it.
So this is interesting what he says here, and then we're going to get to something we were just speaking about a minute ago.
First thing I wanted to ask you about was this situation with the assessor. The fact that she has said that that the sheriff was upset with her for providing information.
Also, when they did the warrants right? I think this is very interesting as well. I think it's strategic. I do too. I do too. I think they don't want to poop in their own backyard. And that's why they're saying, oh, let's give it to the attorney general. But when they did the warrants, right, for, well, really all of them, uh, Tommaso and Annie's house, the Daly's house, the Range Rover, Carlos, all of that. The warrants, right? Not only a judge has to sign off on that, but the state attorney general was in agreement, and from what I understand, the federal attorney general was in agreement with that. And that's why I still say 100 days later that I do believe that authorities will be back at least one of these homes or someone connected around it. I don't think that they can be wrong 3 times, not the FBI.
The FBI, she's obviously not saying what that information is. She doesn't want to get in trouble with the investigation or anything,
Joe,
but that the sheriff was apparently very, very upset
no
with
politics.
her for giving whatever information this was to the FBI, which seems.
I accidentally timed Joe out. I meant to delete his comment. I'm so sorry, Joe. Can you can one of the mods see if they can either untime Joe out or time him out like on 3 seconds? I'm sorry, Joe. I didn't mean that. Sorry.
It's kind of shocking.
Brian, these days I'm not terribly surprised when I hear reports of what the sheriff has done or said. I mean, now that we've found out he was never qualified to be serving in law enforcement and lied on his application 42 years ago, kind of, it's pretty fair game. But yeah,
Ginger, I think you're managing.
this is a really, really tragic situation, and this high-profile investigation.
You can't either, Shannon.
I'm anything that is being provided by any of us, and I haven't been asked by the FBI
Okay,
or any
there's
other
Joe.
law enforcement to provide anything. But if I were to
We
be
got
asked,
you.
of course, I would do anything and everything possible to assist in any investigation. And I'm sure the assessor did the exact same thing. And to have the response from the sheriff be what it was described as, again, very concerning. And look, whatever is necessary to help resolve that situation, especially that would have been, months ago now, that's what any of us should be doing, not complaining about having to do more work now or follow more leads or whatever he was saying.
Do you know the assessor?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, is she, just because I'm
Okay, listen to
obviously
this.
not from
Listen to
Tucson, I
this.
don't know all the players here. I mean, I've gotten to know you a little bit and know about the
Sure.
sheriff and stuff, but is she, I mean, is there any reason we shouldn't believe her account of what happened?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. That she's not gonna make this kind of thing up. Absolutely not. I was surprised to learn about it a few days ago now, whenever that was. But I'm, in terms of like,
There's been other reports that everyone says this assessor's like a really good, she has a good working relationship with her other colleagues. And think about Nanos. He has 99% of people who don't believe in him in his office. I mean, can you imagine 99% of your own people don't have faith in you? That's just unheard of. And that really, in my opinion, goes to the degree of what a doofus he is.
veracity, no doubt whatsoever. On the other hand, what the sheriff says, that's a little
Very.
different, as we've discussed.
What is the latest?
But yes, exactly, Sherry. You would think like, oh shit, maybe I should just leave. You know what I mean? Like if 99% of your own crew don't have faith in you, you would think, maybe it's just time for me to step down and have a special election or whatever. But again, the reports with Nanos is he is hard-headed, that he's allegedly a bully. And bullies generally don't.
Latest with, I mean, you guys, explain to me exactly what you guys did as the Board of Supervisors. You've now referred some of this to the Attorney General.
Yeah, and I
Thank
know
you,
people are
too,
going to
Star.
keep saying that this
Wake
board
up, Star.
keeps
Thank
doing
you so
that with
much.
the sheriff, and that we are fairly limited in what we can
Appreciate
do.
you, my
We aren't the
friend.
Congress. We can't just say, all right, you're kind of becoming a George Santos, so you're off the island. We can't exactly do that. There are
Yes.
narrow ways that we can try to do things like that ARS 11253, having officers come before us, make report, etc. But you know, we had a discussion behind closed doors in a private executive session with our attorneys and looked at the responses the sheriff was required to provide us. He did not initially do those under oath, which I found very surprising. But 10 days later, he and his lawyer did submit a notarized affidavit making the 22-page response sworn. And so that basically, yes, maybe technically we could cite the fact that on a timeliness, from a timeliness standpoint, he did not meet the statute. I don't think that he did. Would a court sustain that? Would a judge say that was sufficient to, reverse an election and take someone out of an elective office?
It's really hard to do that.
That's the part that
Really
we
hard to
couldn't
do
get to
that.
that threshold. So on the advice of our attorneys, we did not pursue, vacating the office. But what we did pursue on the advice of the same counsel is that some of those responses, and we didn't say, look here, here, and here, because the Attorney General is a smart woman and has an incredibly talented team of people. So,
And again, I think that they're just trying to play smart here. I think the counties just they because this is the thing. If, for instance, the Attorney General says, "Oh, we found nothing," Nanos, in my opinion, is going to come back and rage against the people who was outspoken against him. Some revenge, perhaps, allegedly. But if they just give this to the Attorney General and they just say, hey, we're not going to make it really any recommendations. Like he said, she's a smart woman. She'll look at it. Wink, wink. Then it doesn't fall on us.
we're not going to do their job. We're not a court and we're not the AG. But we and our attorneys, in discussing his responses, had concerns about multiple areas of potential perjury. And that's, you heard my colleague say that we would like the Attorney General to look into the situation for potential perjury. And of course, the follow-up of that would be, they would be the indicting authority. They could file.
There you go. He's saying it. They would be the indicting authority.
Charges. It would be a class 4 felony. This is not from the 1980s now. This would be from a response to the Board of Supervisors a few weeks ago. And that's a big problem because we already saw that he's willing to I would say, lie under oath, what appears to be lying under oath back in December of during that federal deposition with regard to the Sergeant Cross case. That is not the purview of the AG because that goes over into the kind of realm of the federal courts, I'm told, by the AG's office. But this would definitely.
So it'd be a class 4 felony. That would be, it's like it's not, a count 1 felony or a class, what they say, 5? Did they say 4 or 5? I think they said 4. I think that's a mid-level felony is what that is. If it's like a count 5, it's a lower. Count 6, it's a even lower felony. It's about it's a mid-level felony.
Definitely be something the AG should, and I believe will look into and potentially file charges if she sees fit.
I was just looking at a document from when the sheriff worked in El Paso, and I don't know if you've seen this, where it basically says, let me find it again here.
Is this from his personnel file?
Yes. Yeah, where it says the 5-member board unanimously.
Yes, right after the public speaker, Reed accused Hines of taking bribes, saying, "Who do you work for, Hines?" I laughed, and Matt Hines changed his vote. Now I wonder the same. Mm, mm.
Voted that
Ah,
Officer Chris Nanos be terminated from the
correct.
El Paso.
Hold on.
Basically says, let me find it again here.
Is this from his personnel file? The 80?
Yes, yeah, where it says the 5-member board unanimously voted that
Ah,
Officer Chris Nanos be terminated from the
correct.
El Paso Police Department.
Yes.
Is that new? I mean, I don't remember. I heard about the suspensions, but did we
Right.
know that he
I think he was given a choice. He was given a choice that he could either step down, resign, or he could be terminated, right? And it was kind of an unanimous decision that you either step down or we're going to have to fire you, which a lot of employers do that. So they don't have to fire you and you can look, I guess, a little better by stepping down, if you will. Hey, Miss Michelle, thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you. Hello, addressing everyone in one sentence. What are we talking about? It's going to be more than one sentence. Thank you so much, Michelle. So the assessor, there's reports that the assessor came out and spoke and said that the FBI came to her in February, same month Nancy went missing, and the FBI wanted information. And she called Sheriff Nanos, and Sheriff Nanos uh, scolded her for giving the FBI information. And now a lot of things, again, are being brought up with Sheriff Nanos. They decided that he wasn't going to be uh, removed as sheriff, but now it's going to the attorney general so they can do their own investigation.
was actually fired?
So because of that, his very long disciplinary record, that actually three, like 2.5 page list there, the last two entries were, I believe, I think like the disposition order was like resigned in lieu of termination, kind of typed over
Oh,
to
I'm
the right
sorry,
side. But
Candy.
in terms of
Sorry,
that kind
babe.
of documentation, no, that we didn't have the full picture. And I kind of think that maybe the sheriff didn't think we were going to get it. But thankfully, I mean, the Arizona Republic, Stephanie Murray, investigative reporting, she's
And again, that's the thing about these inquiries and these investigations. They can start out looking at something very tiny and then notice something that, oh, that's interesting. Probable cause to look into that. And before you know it, it's a big, big investigation. And it seems like this is ballooning and it's going to be big.
been getting a lot of records out of El Paso. They seem to keep things since they were a republic, like
I mean, it would be crazy if we, and I'm not saying this is going to happen because he's absolutely innocent unless and until proven guilty and these accusations and all that. But I'm just saying it would be absolutely crazy in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or maybe more, maybe less, if we're covering Sheriff Nanos for something completely different, unrelated to Nancy Guthrie, if you will, right? Him standing in front of a judge.
that. We have that file now. And the thing is, that was published on April 21st in a very large kind of like line by line expose of every single suspension thing, whatever happened with Nanos based on that 88-page personnel file.
I'm going to
So
pull up
what you're
something right here.
describing is the very striking, just
Show
it's
you
kind of
something.
black and white. It's in writing. We know what happened in 1982. You just described it. A disciplinary board found that for 9 or 10 different specific reasons, he was failing to meet, and they even cite the Texas statute, I believe, or code or statute that is speaking to like their version of peace officer or law enforcement officer certification.
Okay, this is page 1 of 2. It's a little old, if you will, but he wasn't there that long. You know what I mean? Like, he was not there that long. And I gotta say, Pima County should have done a better job looking into this guy. They really should have. But to not, sorry, I just blasted your ears. Sorry. To not be there that long in Texas, he's got, dereliction of duty, excessive force, habitual tardiness, violation of, I think it's duties. I mean, just suspension after suspension, right? And then that's just one page. Here, SHOT fired, suspended 1 day, brutality, off-duty conduct, gambling, fired, failure to report for duty, informational only, tardy, off-duty conduct, threats. And again, this was many years ago, but regardless of it being many years ago, you got to think back to what the previous sheriff has came out and said, right? And other officers, that they were bullied, not only verbally or emotionally, if you will, but physically, they claim in some accounts they were being shoved and pushed. I mean, this is the leader of a ginormous county, big county. I think it's the size of like Rhode Island or something. This county, it's huge. And he's doing this in his older age. You would think he would like settle down a little bit, but guess not.
There, and they say in their description, he's consistently been unable to meet even the basic, the lowest level of standards that we require in the state of Texas, and he must leave.
Think about that. Then he couldn't even meet the lowest level of standard that they required then. And it kind of just shows you, just because you're in a position of power doesn't mean you're fit for the job. It doesn't mean you're good at it.
Leave, and therefore the board voted, as you said, unanimously to terminate, because were quite magnanimous, or just for whatever grace. He was, in fact, moments before that decision became public, allowed to resign in lieu of termination, which unfortunately for all of us, preserved his ability to come over to.
Brenda, babe, we've did a couple shows on that. I recommend you going back and looking. We dug really deep into that, and just the investigation of the guy unaliving himself. The other deputies there, they weren't allowed to investigate. They weren't allowed to go inside the home. They weren't allowed to interview the wife or anything. Why? It's an investigation when someone dies. And this is another deputy who allegedly unalived himself in a neighbor's yard. Oh yeah, go back probably like a month ago or something. I dive really deep into it. Like, it's jaw-dropping. And FBI was investigating that. And again, I think that's part of the chip.
Arizona and get a job here under false pretenses. But he signed it, like on that, I believe on the same form you might be referring to, a couple of lines below, I think it said like this
He was either going to get fired or he could resign. He
position
resigned.
resigned in lieu of termination, or
Yes,
resignation in
it
lieu of
does say that.
termination. Christopher J. Nanos, signature and date. So he knew the circumstances of the separation from El Paso. But look at, now let's fast forward April 21st, 2026. Here's what he tells the Board of Supervisors. Okay, my supervisor and I had a disagreement about some vehicular towing thing, and I was going to have to face a 3-day suspension. I appealed the
Yes.
3-day suspension to the
Yes,
chief.
you're right. Thank you for reminding me about that. It was the treasurer. Yes, Justin, it was the treasurer. The FBI was investigating both of them and another guy, Fishy. Yes, there was 3 of them. Nanos, the treasurer. It was about how the funds was being spent and allocated, and things that was being purchased. Very, very weird. And this guy ends up supposedly unaliving himself, and RICO funds. Yes, RICO funds. It's messy. And Sheriff Nanos, like when he's doing those interviews, he's, in my opinion, I can't say that, never mind. It's very fishy, in my opinion. Jana, 24 months. What a legend. Thank you so much, Jana. So good to see you. Seems like Nanos doesn't even have any shame. I would have to step down out of embarrassment. The longer he stays, the more that comes out about him. Yeah, I would have been like, deuces, let's take an early retirement. Where's my 401k? And ride my little Corvette into the Arizona sunset.
Chief, I believe.
Thank you so
The
much,
chief
Jana,
sided
for
with
your
my
support, my dear.
supervisor,
Really
and instead
appreciate
of
that.
accepting that 3-day suspension, I went ahead and left. Okay, buddy, you've been suspended 8 other times. 8 for 37 days,
Is Kelly
including
here?
10 days for
Kelly
one,
still here?
15 days for another. That's the one where he nearly killed a guy, put him into a coma in the ICU
Hold
in
on.
El Paso.
Wait. What?
3-day suspension, I went ahead and left.
Hold
Sided
on.
with my, I appealed the 3-day suspension to the chief, I believe. The chief sided with my supervisor, and instead of accepting that 3-day suspension, I went ahead and left. Okay, buddy, you've been suspended 8 other times. 8 for 37 days, including 10 days for one, 15 days for another. That's the one where he nearly killed a guy, put him into a coma in the ICU in El Paso, got the police department sued, and was all over the news there, right? That was the hand.
That's right. I covered that as well. There's been so much. This is where we did, I pulled the report on that and showed you guys. Again, go back and watch that. Very interesting. Even Sheriff Nanos's father said, in my opinion, some pretty negative things. It was in that there was an article, and Sheriff Nanos's father was interviewed on that. In this case, besides poor Nancy, I don't live Tucson. How is he still an officer? He's elected.
Handcuffed robbery suspect.
I can tell you, if he wasn't elected, he would not be there. I can tell you, if that was Nanos's employees having this, they would probably not be there, right?
Be in the back of a squad car. So, all right.
Again, hello.
15 days for another. That's the one where he nearly killed a guy, put him into a coma in the ICU in El Paso, got the police department sued, and was all over the news there, right? That was the handcuffed robbery suspect he beat in the back of a squad car. So, all right. So he's facing a 3-day suspension for whatever vehicular towing thing was. And that's going to make him resign. That doesn't even hold water, because it.
Yeah. A 3-day suspension to make him resign for a vehicular towing thing, but you allegedly, I'll say, beat someone in the back of a police car, and they're in allegedly ICU in the hospital, and it didn't do it. Yeah, for now, sweet pea. Thank you, darling. More to go, but yeah, thank you, honey.
Was, and that's going to make him resign. That doesn't even hold water because it doesn't make any sense based on the rest of his history. So what he
Exactly.
told the Board of Supervisors under oath was, in my view, appears to be perjury.
So I know none of this has to do with Nancy Guthrie particularly, but
Oh.
do you think any of this would have come out if it wasn't for the Nancy?
I mean, does it have to do with Nancy Guthrie's case? Not technically, but it just shows, in my opinion, the absolute incompetence and failure on already a very complicated, complex case that you have probably the dumbest sheriff in America in a country of what, 340 million? I mean, come on.
Guthrie investigation and sort of the spotlight on Nanos?
So bad.
I highly doubt it. I think that especially after his February 3rd, like colossal, I mean,
Well, maybe, but this is the thing. This is the thing. Back, I mean, they still have immunity technically. And now a lot of times it's, they're charged, police officers are now, but back then, hell no. No. They did what they want.
that was the quote that still I have emblazoned in my head. Like the fact that he said, I'm just not used to all you guys hanging on my every word and holding me accountable for the things that I say. That's the sheriff in a very, very troubling, high profile case saying, I mean, very true words, as it turned out, but really not very reassuring to the public or to the family or to anybody. But after that, especially, and February and onward, I think just the high profile, that high profile investigation, I think that's what really led some media outlets, some journalists to do a little more digging, and that's really kind of what sort of kicked things off when that 3-page disciplinary record came out from a more limited public records request that I believe it was Stephanie Murray from the Republic did, Arizona Republic. That started. Then we were all like, wait, how did this guy get a job? We didn't.
So, Passion Flower says, I bet Nancy's friends all knew how she felt politically and how she felt about her government and her locals, and they're not allowed to talk about anything. I mean, I don't know if they could really not talk. I mean, they have the right to free speech unless they're bound, from their job or whatever. But what's interesting, Nancy was, she worked for the Treasury Department in the college. And you never know, like, even an investigation can come up decades later. It could even be something like that. Or, a lot of people talk about Epstein and all that stuff. Not a chance. I don't think this has anything, zilch, nada, to do with that. But it could be something locally to do with politics that maybe Nancy knew.
Know about
It's not my first guess, but it's a possibility.
Specifics of the citations and the unanimous vote of the disciplinary board, which we now do, but that even reinforces that. How did he get a job? How did he get peace officer certification in Arizona? Because you can either.
Yep, 400 plus votes he won. I believe he would have lost if he wouldn't have done that. I agree. Recount. We demand a recount.
Get it through a new independent background check, or it's waived and you just kind of get peace officer certification if you're already like a police officer in good standing in Michigan or Florida or Texas. So he probably transferred that peace officer certification in, had the background check waived because he already had it in Texas, did not disclose the fact that he was fired because he couldn't adhere to those standards. So, I mean, that's all that stuff has come out. Again, the board has taken no action with regard to any specific investigation. Well, I guess we did with the botched rape investigation in 23, but not certainly the Guthrie investigation or any others since. What we've taken exception, our issue is just simply his lack of qualifications for being in the job, and all of the lies. And
I mean, think about this, guys. This is the sheriff of a huge county, and he couldn't even meet the minimum qualifications years ago when he was in Texas, and he's the sheriff, and he has run of the mill, and he's on one of the highest profile cases probably of our time. It's way up there of high profile. That's just sad. You took, yeah, scary, sad, all the above.
the strange thing for me, Brian, is that we all
They did a
know,
recount.
right? We like the 88-page personnel file was appended to the Arizona Republic article. That was there. Yet 10 days later, his lawyer advised him to swear to something that appears
They probably had to do a recount because it was so close.
appended to the Arizona Republic article.
Listen to this.
That was there. Yet 10 days later, his lawyer advised him to swear to something that appears to be in no way consistent what those 88 pages tell us happened in El Paso in his response to the board. That is bizarre to me. And I don't know, maybe we'll see what happens, but we wouldn't be having this discussion most likely if the high profile case didn't really cast a light and really provoke additional scrutiny on the head of our largest law enforcement agency.
This is the thing, Joe. A lot of times people, and that's a good point. No way someone in Arizona didn't know about his past. A lot of times people know, but they're intimidated by coming forward. And that's the truth.
Yeah, Sergeant Aaron Cross, who is obviously with Pima County, but also the head of the union. He told me, which kind of surprised me. He said that he thinks that the sheriff should have handed over the Nancy Guthrie case to the FBI because they had hundreds of agents ready. And I guess I was surprised to hear him say that. Most people within the department, even the ones that don't like the sheriff, have told me, no, we can still handle it ourselves. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that was a mistake? Should the sheriff have just handed it over?
And again, I don't like to, talk politics in here or anything, but I would think she would have known Sheriff Nanos. She was very involved in her community, right? And they were the same of party affiliates. So I would think she would have known him, at least socially. You know what I mean? Lovey's 15 months. What a legend. Good to see you. Thank you so much, Lovey's, for your continued support. I really appreciate that. It is known what specific information the assessor was asked about. Do you know if it had to do with unpaid taxes or someone's home? Thank you. We don't know the exact thing that was asked about. She wouldn't say, and I get that. But Brian did say something earlier. I'm trying to remember what it was. Let me think about that, Lovies, in just a second, and I'll let you know. What was it? I'll think about it. I'll let you know in just a second. Let me think.
So, and I said this on, I think I actually said this on NewsNation somewhere in the second or third week of the investigation. And again, not as necessarily any sort of being critical, but just from sheer resources and capacity. We are a large county. We have 1,500 folks in the department, dozens of detectives, but we also have a large population of 1.1 million people. And we have other cases and other crimes and other things going on here, right? To sustain the level that was sustained for weeks and weeks and weeks in terms of just the resource allocation, diversion from other cases and all that kind of stuff that was going on. The lab testing, I think due to that, there's a very, I believe there is some concerning relationship between the sheriff and the FBI because of the way they investigated him for misusing racketeering dollars back in 2016. He was not charged, to be really clear. So I'm not quite sure why he wasn't charged, because others were. But like that, that relationship, not great. And we've seen him send samples to labs in Florida, which we have to pay for, county tax dollars, when every single sample you send to the FBI is covered.
What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys a long time ago? I said, why would Sheriff Nanos do that? Like it makes no sense, because when you can give it to the FBI, they were literally going to fly it across the country. It could have been at Quantico in 3.5 hours from the time the plane left. They could turn it around quicker than anybody and do probably more depth analysis immediately. It wouldn't have to go to Florida, however it got there. They would prioritize it with the FBI, and it wouldn't cost the taxpayers of Pima County a cent. A cent. He's
And
fucking
so
mental.
as one of the 5 budget authorities of Pima County, right? I think about dollars. I want the outcome, of course, that we all want, which is a resolution here. But I also have to be a steward of the dollar here, because that's
And it cost more to expedite it as well,
my
right?
job, what the taxpayers put me here for. And when you have a smaller jurisdiction, and most of us are relative to the FBI, smaller jurisdictions, maybe not LA County or I mean, Cook County, maybe New York, some really massive cities or their jurisdictions might keep these kinds of cases, but FBI does missing persons. This is a pretty complicated case with a
You
lot of
don't think so,
nuances and
do
a
you,
lot of strange
Deb?
stuff going on. And
I
I
got a
was
picture.
hoping and expecting that the sheriff would pass the investigative lead role to the FBI within a week or two, for a variety of reasons.
I don't think Sheriff Nanos could tie his own shoe.
Including just like relieving some of the burden that is facing the taxpayers of Pima County now, when a lot of that I think should have been shifted to the FBI.
Do you have any idea what it's going to cost? Has any sort of estimate come in yet?
The only estimation,
Doesn't-
I asked about this in one of our somewhat recent meetings. It was like 2 or 3 meetings ago. The estimate at that time was approximately $1 million over the existing budget we had already allocated. I know that doesn't sound like a lot.
I think $1 million sounds like a lot. I think that sounds like a lot. He Oh my God, please don't tell me. Does he really wear Velcro shoes? I'm out of here. Just he really wears Velcro shoes. Oh, Jesus.
Especially because our budget's
So
like
$1 million just on the.
But that's just on one case, right?
And
So
who told
that's,
you that? Was that from the sheriff's office?
I believe the info. So I asked in one of our public meetings, I believe that, so I asked the county administrator to get us an estimate, and that was her
Yes, he should.
approximate, her estimate at that time. That was a good month and a half ago now.
I'm sorry. I think the ugliest shoes in the world are those Velcro shoes that has the 2 straps. You know what I'm talking about? That men wear. It's got the strap here and the strap here. Those shoes creep me out. I try not to be judgmental, but those shoes creep me out. Those remind me of you went to get your RSO, registered offender status, updated if you wear the shoes.
the reason we're getting into budget season. So I'm just curious, what we have to kind of anticipate. And if we have like a fund balance at the end here, can we spend more money on affordable housing or more books for the library or filling some potholes, or is that all gone because it's kind of getting sucked into the sheriff's budget that we didn't know, that we
If you're elderly, and that's what Velcro's for, or whatever, if you got like arthritis or something like that. But he's a tough guy, right? He's the sheriff. He's the sheriff. He shouldn't be talking about arthritis.
didn't anticipate due to some of that. I just think, we shouldn't be bearing
what
the
they're
brunt of
calling.
all of this, and we should be utilizing the FBI to the fullest extent, not only for their expertise. They have more people that have more experience doing these kinds of cases. And also on the fiduciary side of things, it's the most responsible thing to do for the county.
I really appreciate Dr. Hines for taking the time to talk with.
Listen, I clap when they clap with the plane. I clap too. God, you're judgmental, Kelsey.
Me. Obviously, there's a big can of worms that was opened
Okay, we
in
gotta
Pima
move on.
County that I don't think would have seen the light of day if it wasn't for the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Unfortunately, here we are. It's
Okay.
now been more than 3 months. Nancy is still missing, literally just vanished from her home in Tucson, Arizona. And you just hope that someone has some kind of information. The DNA latest that I've heard is that they're still testing it. That one strand of hair is really the main piece of DNA that they're looking at. Remember, it's rootless. It's easier to get DNA off a hair with a root. They've been doing that for years, but rootless DNA
Takes
is
longer.
very, very difficult sometimes
It's a newer
to
technology.
obtain DNA off of. So that's taking time.
My opinion, you guys know my opinion as of now. I believe I think it's going to take longer because I believe this person in this photo, I think that he probably doesn't have much of family in the United States. And I think that will make DNA more difficult. He obviously doesn't seem to have much of a criminal record either. April, thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you very much. Doofy's lack of integrity in Nancy's case in public safety is beyond concerning. He reminds me of the cops I've met that were abusive behind closed doors. Not all cops, the bad ones, power hungry, in my opinion. Well, absolutely, April. I mean, look at his past in Arizona, allegedly beating a guy in the back of the car who was in ICU. Even other fellow employees at Pima County, they claimed, right? Angel Kisses says they want her house and they are behind on property tax not paid up yet. Could be. It could be. We'll just have to see about that. I don't know, what was this?
They're going to try for IgG, investigative genetic genealogy. If you look back at my old episodes, I've talked a lot about that, and that's how they.
Now the genealogy, again, if this person is not from the United States, right? And they're probably not doing their family's probably not doing 23andMe, and they're probably not doing, ancestry.com. So that's, oh my God. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I'll show you guys. We're going to give Sheriff Doofy something to talk about. So it's going to make it even more complicated for them as well. We're going to share a picture. There we go. There we go. There's Sheriff Doofy. The white ones are better. Yeah. That's a better, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, look at his shorts. Look at his shorts. Look at the FBI guy. You know, come on now. Let's go. Love you, Pam. His full resume was pure lies. Well, you know, him allegedly lying under oath is, uh, love you, Tucson. Good to see you, babe. Is something else, right? And that could be a big thing, a big old thing. Okay. Um, okay. So Pima County Sheriff Nanos gives an update on the Nancy Guthrie investigation. The sheriff admits information being withheld from the public, but he says for good reason. We're obviously 100 days into this investigation. And let's see what it says. Nano says, quote, they are working hard to get this resolved. And I think every day they are getting closer, end quote. Nano says the sheriff was referring not just on his detectives working on the investigation, but he also wants to add, and the FBI. Quote, day one, the FBI was involved in the case. He's saying that, again, in my opinion, to get ahead of this. He wants you to know, he's an elected official. Of course, the FBI was on it on day one, right? Of course they were. That he's quoted in, by the way. Quote, and they continue to be involved in this case every single day, end quote. Nano said they're receiving help from Arizona DPS and a handful of labs across the country. Quote, we continue to work with our labs, plural, end quote. He said, quote, whether it is digital on the digital end or the biological end, DNA, end quote. When it comes to DNA, Nano said the labs are having to separate all the different DNA that was found inside the Guthrie's house and work to identify who it belongs to. And that takes time. Quote, it moves at a snail's pace, I guess, for some, end quote, Nano said. Quote, but for my investigation team and for me, we look at this as no, this is doing exactly what we need to do. Well, it always is slow, but come on, Nanos. Let's be real. It could have been done a lot faster had it been for you giving it to the FBI. Also, I want to show you guys this. JLR, I showed you that picture of JLR with the mask on, but here he's done a video. I didn't know he barked, but like you can tell that's JLR. Red rum. Is that what he said?
Dude, that's creepy. Red rum.
Oh, he's saying red rum. I thought he said roof roof.
Red rum.
Like you can tell, you kind of have an idea of who he is, right? It apparently cost 200,000 pounds to send the DNA to Florida. It should have been, yeah. It'll cost zilch to Pima County if he would have done that. Also, some people are talking about a new guy that it's being brought up. A man that was arrested in February in a homicide investigation in Pima County. A 22-year-old. Did y'all see that? I'll find it for you in just a second. In my opinion, I don't think he has anything to do with it. All right, moving on. Let me show you this. Guys, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and double tap that screen. How could a family involved with their loved one not know she was behind on her taxes when her daughter could have paid it? question. Well, I mean, so I guess sometimes people forget or whatever. I don't know. But she had which I showed you guys, she had a $70,000 revolving credit from a bank, a credit line. You just kind of wonder if it was like maxed out as well. All right,
Again,
listen to this.
it's hard to blame the searchers because the family was pretty insistent that this was a walkaway as well.
Okay, now that is again, we've seen a lot of different reporting, and if you look at Savannah Guthrie's interview, she's like, no, we kept insisting that no, you're not understanding us. She's not able to walk away. So which is it? Did she walk away? Did the family say, we think she walked away? Or did they say, no, she couldn't have? He corrected it? Where did he correct it? Okay. Let me see here. Okay, I did not know that.
And so they were doing what they were trying to do.
Did he correct it, or did he get what's the word? Scolded for actually slipping something? I don't know. I don't trust any of them now. Honest to God, I don't trust any of them.
And search.
Because just like Sheriff Nanos said, everyone's a suspect, including the family. And then it's like the next day he comes out and says, you guys should be ashamed. Why would you think it's the family? Oh, Brian made a new video of it. Okay. This is the video I said I hadn't seen yet. So, okay. So he made another one. He had to backtrack just like Nanos. I said more than one ego. Yes, he corrected a day later. I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird to me. Very weird to me that these, me either. I don't trust him. It's like, and it's always with the family. Always with the family. Have y'all noticed that? Always. Everyone's a suspect, including the family. Next day, you guys should be ashamed of yourself. How could you think it's the family? Or, even look at that way. Then here, this guy's like, well, the family, thought it was a walkaway, said it was a walkaway. Then, no, family says, I correct that. Like, what's really going on here? It's a little weird to me. I'm not trying to put like a tinfoil hat on here, but it's just weird to me. It's always about the family.
Looking for Nancy, and I believe it got to the point where once they didn't find her in the area, combined with the blood on the stoop, that's when it's everybody kind of decided, all right, we have something else here.
I don't see how you could have not thought something else from jump. You know what I mean? Like, Nancy's perfectly fine in her head. She didn't call anyone. And I'm not really bad. You wonder why no one has come forward, because it could possibly family or suspect. I believe she knew who took her. I think it's very possible she could have known who took her, but I don't know. Oh, did y'all see this, by the way? Let me show you this real quick. This was the area that they searched for Miss Nancy. By the way, this is like a map that they, the area that they were searching for her. And it doesn't give like what the blue's for or anything like that, but they're really looking through here for sure, which is closer to her house. And that kind of gives me, again, you think of the dailies, right? Honestly, let's explore that. Family exonerated and case isn't solved. Things that make you go, it seems like a massive search area, but again, why are they not allowing like real search groups in? You know what I mean? Like, why are they not allowing that? That's what makes me really question things here. Okay, I want to show you this right here. Our friend from the Brew Crew. Now, Brew Crew under 50 Judge Brewer, he talks about something that I find very interesting. Let me do a poll first. Let me do a poll. Do you think Nancy is still in the area? And when I say this, I don't mean alive, because I don't think really any of us think that she's alive. Yes, within 10, we'll do 5 miles, 5 to 10 miles, and then we'll do 10 to 20 miles, and then 20 miles plus. Okay. Do you guys think Nancy is still in the area? Put a 1 in the chat if you think Nancy is within 5 miles of the home before we do this. 2, put a 2 in chat, 5 to 10 miles. 3 in chat if you think 10 to 20 miles. Put a 4 in chat, 20 miles plus. And that'll look at how corrupt our federal government. Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Doesn't matter where you're at. So it's pretty varied, but most. Okay. That's interesting. It's pretty tight. But most think within 5 miles. People, next is 20 miles plus, but it's really close to 5 to 10 miles. Statistically, it is extremely rare for someone to be more than 20, 25 or 26 miles, I think it is. Statistically, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. How big is the county? Humongous. It's like the size of Rhode Island or something. Yeah, well, there's animals pretty much everywhere you go, so it's one of those things. If it's not javelins, it'll be something else. But it just depends, like, where she's at, you know? And this is the thing. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about this, but think about this. We always speak about, and it's always more likely that someone remains or placed outdoors, but that's not always the truth. Sometimes people are put indoors. right? They'll be put like in a freezer, or they'll be put in like a barn, or they'll dig like a hole in like the earth, but it'll be like inside of a barn, over a floor, or under a floor rather. Things like that. In a trunk in a lake. You just never know. You never know. Joe, you always gotta start. I don't know, Lexi. I think my opinion, I would say she's within 10 miles, but I would say most likely within 5 miles. Statistically. It couldn't be close. The odor would be too much. Well, it just depends, right? I don't think she's going to be like around houses or anything like that, because again, just depending on the way the wind blows and stuff, that people can generally see or smell, obviously. So how about between Tucson and Jordan? Yeah, I guarantee that. Yeah, Tucson and Jordan. Yeah, definitely somewhere between there.
So unusual.
Okay,
because if an 84-year-old woman was taken from her home in the middle of the night, dash cameras, people, even intersection cameras, vehicles even have cameras now, Teslas, dash cameras. People are literally recording themselves every second of every day without even realizing it.
Yes.
And that's exactly why this case feels so unusual. Because if an 84-year-old woman was taken from her home in the middle of the night against her will.
And you got to think, that's why it's generally someone is much closer to home, because the further you go with someone's remains, the more likely you are to be seen. That is electronically seen, whether it's your vehicle telling on you, your phone telling on you, a residential camera telling on you, a commercial camera telling on you, a cell phone camera telling on you, a ping, whatever. And that builds more evidence. That's why generally people want to dump the remains as quick as possible, but also try not for them to be found.
How does somebody move her through a populated area and not get picked up on a single usable camera leaving town? That is a big question that I have. And today,
I think they have to have something, in my opinion. There's just not, they have to, you just can't. And again, Sheriff Nanos, again, however much you believe him, he says, yeah, we have things that we can't tell you, which we expect, but do you have the goods, right? Do you have a lot more? Does a backup camera for your car count? Sorry, Badger. Well, I mean, a lot of cars have cameras now, right?
I want to break this all down from a real investigative perspective, not emotional speculation and not internet fantasy, just real criminal investigative thinking. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. Now,
Guys, make sure you sub up to Brew Crew Beyond 50 for the replay crew in chat. Link is provided in the description. I love this guy. He is real. He's authentic. He has experience. And he just is very down to earth. And I like his way of thinking. And he gets my brain scratching.
listen, if you're new here, my name is Charles Brewer. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 21 years of experience. And I spent much of that time working criminal investigations and just seeing how cases are actually built behind the scenes. Now, this channel is where we break down real cases from and why this entire case. What are the odds that Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home and truly never moved very far away from it? What if she is closer than we all think? Now, let's think about this logically. If someone abducted,
I mean, this is the crazy part, right? It could be technically, we've talked about the neighborhood before, right? Like some weird cats in the neighborhood. Brian Entin did an interview with one of the neighbors, and he's like, the neighbor said, yeah, there's some weird cats still in this neighborhood, if you will. They were having a hard time finding a vehicle because none of us know what happened. We have suspicions about what may have happened, but nobody knows. Nancy could be in a house very close to where she went missing from her home. Hey, Ratui, good to see you. Once Annie and Nancy. I don't think she's very far now.
Nancy Guthrie from that neighborhood, they had to leave somehow. They had to leave in a vehicle or on foot, with assistance or without assistance. Whatever happened, movement had to occur. And if movement,
that's right, movement had to occur. You don't get from point A to point B by yourself. And especially if you're moving someone, you got to have a mode of transportation. And it's not on a moped. It's not on a bike. There has to be a vehicle out there of some sort. This isn't the country. I don't think there's an ATV being, she's being moved on an ATV.
Occurred, which it had to. There should theoretically be evidence of movement.
Love you, Sherry.
That's what bothers me so much about this case, because modern investigators, they don't just look at one camera. They build camera grids. They identify every possible route leading away from that neighborhood, every major intersection, every gas station, every business.
Right. They're going to find that vehicle of suspicion, and they're going to find every route, and they're going to track this car as far as they can, this vehicle, if you will. Now, what I find interesting, now let's think about this. We're talking about how Nancy Guthrie had to have been moved with a mode of transportation, a vehicle. Statistically, she's very close. There was a search warrant. Very close. Where was that search warrant? Well, the Daly's home. 2 miles, 2.5 miles away? That's interesting. What was it in that search warrant? that made them go to the Daly's home, right? Guys, we're 125 thumbs up away from our goal. We get 1,000 thumbs up. We have a chicken party. You don't want to miss the chicken party. Rutui says, Annie and Tomato, brought that on themselves because they were hiding their faces in the car, so it made them look guilty, and they all had. I don't know why they were doing that. It's just very weird. They did that. Okay, now listen to this.
Business in every traffic corridor. There are school zones. You know, investigators, they typically work outwards in expanding the circles, maybe 1 mile, 2 miles. I think that the sheriff extended the search grid originally in 2 miles out. And maybe they should go 5 miles or even 10 miles.
Okay.
Trying to.
Now, again, I'm going to scratch your brain a little bit here. Okay. So we was just speaking about the Dailies. They're 2.5 miles away, their home. Again, federal search warrant. Local law enforcement had to agree with it. A judge had to agree with it. The attorney general agreed with it, that there was obviously something that brought them to that house. Now, think about Annie and Tommaso's home. Yeah, they were in the house doing forensics for hours. But I say it almost every live about Nancy Guthrie's case. But I find it very strange how one day they were at Nancy Guthrie's. Then all of a sudden, they go over to Tommaso's and Annie's home. They go to their neighbors. They're looking in the backyards. They're walking along the roads. 200 agents and police officers there. They're looking at cameras. And then later that night, after they're done there, they go back to Nancy's because they're allegedly looking for a phone. How and why? Identify make and model in a certain time frame, owner info from DMV interview. I think if they find that vehicle, they will find the person. But again, you guys know kind of where I stand on the Guthrie case right now. If this person is involved with vehicles already, i.e. a dealership, i.e. transporting vehicles to different countries, selling vehicles, that kind of thing, they know how to make a car disappear maybe better than you or I would. And if they have, different vehicle software.
To identify movement patterns, especially during overnight hours when traffic volume is lower than usual.
Right. Think about this. 2:00 in the morning. How many? Yeah. Chop shop. Ding, 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 ding. Exactly. How many vehicles are there on Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood at 2:00 in the morning? I would say very, very rare. Not a lot. Not rare, but not a lot, rather. but they were having a hard time, reports were, finding vehicles in the very beginning.
You know, movement stands out more clearly then. Now, I'm not saying that investigators found nothing. We do not know what investigators have privately, but publicly, there has been no major vehicle announcement, no clear suspect vehicle, no public request involving.
Well, Angela, that's a good question. Is it possible that the sample they have is just not good and not that the person is not in the system? From what we understand, this is just a hair. It's not with the root. They'll be able to find this person genetically, even without the root. It's a newer technology, but they will be able to find this person. So I think, again, I don't think this person's ever been arrested. In my opinion, if this is, for instance, someone that's has maybe a permanent residence, maybe they're not a citizen, maybe they don't have 30 or 40 years of ties in Pima County, or maybe even the United States for that matter. That's going to make things a lot more difficult, in my opinion.
A specific route leaving town. And that creates a very uncomfortable question. Did Nancy ever truly leave the immediate area? Did she leave the immediate area? Because statistically, for somebody to remove an elderly woman from a neighborhood in today's surveillance environment and leave absolutely no usable movement at all, no trail, that's highly unusual. Highly unusual. This is where I want us to slow down and think about something, because sometimes in investigations, investigators and the public both naturally assume distance. We imagine someone being taken far away, across county lines, across state.
Okay. And just also think of this, right? Think of this as well. This is not Pictou County, Nova Scotia. Population 150. Or not Pictou County, but Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. This is not Beach Creek, Tennessee, Summer Wells, and Jack and Lily went missing. This is Tucson, Arizona. And think of this as well. If the reports are right and the way the pictures look, this guy was there the 11th. This means premeditated. This means they had a plan. They do this, then they take her. I mean, somebody that's there the 11th, the 26th, allegedly, and the night of the 31st into the 1st, around there, they're not just going to say, well, what do we do now? They're going to know turn by turn where the final destination is, where they're going to take her.
Lines deep into remote areas. But many cases are solved much closer to the original scene than people realize. Sometimes frighteningly close. And if investigators truly cannot establish a clear outbound route tied directly to Nancy's disappearance, then yes, they absolutely have to consider the possibility that she remained closer to that neighborhood than originally believed. That doesn't mean that investigators failed here. It just means that investigators, they follow evidence. And Absence of evidence can become evidence itself. No outbound vehicle pattern, no confirmed long distance movement, no identifiable transportation trail. That forces investigators to ask different questions. Could there be, a nearby staging location, like maybe a vacant property? And to my knowledge, I believe that there were.
Yes, there's lots of vacant properties. I don't think she's leaving the Today Show. Actually, I think Savannah is getting ready to even start another show with Jimmy Fallon, like a word game show or something like that. She's will host a new game show with Jimmy Fallon that's based on Wordle, the popular New York Times puzzle. Yep. Yep. So I don't think she's leaving today's show either. What's that? She's not. The neighborhood is too risky. They just don't know there would be a search. Maybe.
At least one, maybe two vacant properties within the area of Nancy Guthrie's home. And I do believe that I heard them say that there is construction.
The Today Show, or not the Today Show. Why did I say? I was thinking the desert is big.
Construction site there too at one or more residences. Maybe wash areas, storage structures, the desert edge. There could have been an abandoned vehicle and maybe a secondary residence. These are all real investigative considerations.
Right. We all think outside, but it doesn't mean she's outside. It could be in a structure. You just never know.
Especially if the offender knew the area extremely well. And I'm not saying that law enforcement did not explore all of this, and maybe they did, and I hope they did. I would assume that they have. Now let's discuss the offender, because this person appears to have a level of comfort that it really should concern everyone. They knew routines. That's important. You don't randomly stumble into a situation like this successfully against an elderly victim in a residential neighborhood unless you understand movement patterns. You have to understand the lighting.
We completely disagree, Jay, with that. Chris is a very good friend of mine, actually.
You have to understand camera placements at Nancy Guthrie's home. You have to understand her sleeping habits and timing, and also access. That usually points toward familiarity, and familiarity changes investigations dramatically, because strangers, they commit crimes differently than people within an orbit. People within an orbit, they already possess information. Like the neighbors, they probably know who the neighbors are. It could be the service workers, friends, extended family acquaintances, regular observers.
What still confuses me is this neighbor's camera, and they were asking about a blackout. Is this person screwing up the internet at night? Is it just a coincidence that this neighbor's camera went off the 11th and the night Nancy went missing? 2 cameras?
People notice more than we realize. And offenders, sometimes they blend into normal life far better than the public expects. And that's one of the hardest things for people to accept. Sometimes offenders.
What did AMG say? Here's a twist. The woman who rented Nancy's guest house is a cosmetologist. One of the theories is that the porch perp is a woman with a fake drawn on mustache. Could be, in my opinion. There's a lot of people that thinks that this person is a woman. I don't. Mm-mm. I think this person's got I think he's got very thick eyelashes that most would, all that.
Are not monsters hiding in the shadows.
Jay, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that. We'll just move on from that, please.
Sometimes they're the person that nobody suspected. Quiet, friendly, helpful, with a normal appearance, until they're not. And nationally known criminal profilers, they have talked about this concept repeatedly in most recent interviews surrounding this case. Behavioral familiarity. The confidence level shown here doesn't feel random. It feels informed. Now, I want to be careful here because this is theory discussion, but it is theory discussion rooted in investigative reality. If investigators cannot establish a clean exit trail from the neighborhood, they have to explore local concealment possibilities. And yes.
And okay, think about this. Think about this. If they don't have the exit strategy, the turn by turn, if you will, of where the direction that the vehicle went, then, and they're not looking for, as he says, the concealment strategies of where Nancy is, because there doesn't seem to be a real fixation on finding Nancy. Like, she's the goal, but the sheriff isn't allowing anyone to come in to search for Nancy. He doesn't give them, Texas EquiSearch, United Cajun Navy, not really allowing them to come in. So, which they have to have a car, in my opinion. They have to. There's no other way about it, because they're not allowing any others to come in. Miss Dolores, thank you so much. Thank you, darling. Appreciate you. Thank you for your support, my love. Thank you, Miss Dolores. Thank you, love. We appreciate you. It goes to a gated community, which I haven't found out if they had a night worker. You think that goes to a gated community? There would definitely be cameras if that's the case. 15 needed likes. Come on, guys, we're almost at 1,000.
That includes searches much closer to the original scene than many people may even feel comfortable thinking about, because offenders sometimes they panic, especially if something went wrong unexpectedly. An offender may initially plan.
Okay, let's think about this. Let's say the goal was ransom and something went wrong, right? The goal was just to get Nancy and then ransom. But something went terribly, terribly wrong. Well, they didn't have the plan for Nancy to die and something to go wrong, which means there should be more errors with them having to find a location to put her. But again, I don't feel like it was because of ransom necessarily. That's my second, but I think whatever it was, they just wanted Nancy gone. My opinion.
Plan an abduction, but they may lose control. Nancy may have resisted. Noise may have occurred. Blood appeared. And stress levels, they spike, and suddenly the offender's original plan collapses. That can force immediate improvisation, and improvisation creates mistakes, like
she actually,
quick disposal attempts, or maybe just temporary.
Tina, I'm going to get to that. There was actually some tug of war between Nancy's family and that friend, and the friend kind of retracted some of the things she said. I'm going to get to that in just a minute.
And a return visit later, hidden nearby staging area. These are real things that investigators, they study. They have to. And this is exactly why law enforcement sometimes revisits areas multiple times, even months later, probably today, because investigators, they begin reassessing probability. Now let's talk about something that many viewers have been asking, and that's the cadaver dogs. Could investigators bring in cadaver dogs now? Yes, they can, absolutely. And if they have not already done extensive cadaver searches privately, I would be surprised, because, here's what people need to understand. Law enforcement cannot simply unleash dogs across private neighborhoods without legal authority. There's a process. If investigators want to search private property extensively, they generally need one of three things. They either need consent from the property owner, or probable cause, or a search warrant. And that's important because constitutional protections, they still.
You're absolutely right, Stickler. If you just wanted Nancy gone, you don't need to remove her body from the house. You're right. However, there is statistics to that. And the statistics are people who generally know someone, if you will, they generally will hide them. If it's like a burglar or something, they don't generally move a body. But someone with an affiliation, they will move a body. So you're right. They didn't have to move the body, right? But it can be, you're taking more of a risk moving a body in a sense, but you're also, if you don't remove a body, they are evidence. They're evidence themselves. And that tells you a lot as well. How they died, possibly DNA on them, and all of that. So it can go either way. It just depends on how you look at it.
Apply even during major investigations. Now, if law enforcement develops enough probable cause tied to a specific property,
she could be AMG.
They can absolutely
she very well could be
warrants involving cadaver dog deployments. And cadaver dogs, they're incredibly specialized. These dogs can detect decomposition odor long after visible evidence is gone. They can detect this in vehicles, garages, even desert areas, concrete, water adjacent locations, in storage burial areas. But here's another important point. Cadaver dogs, they're not magic. A dog alert alone does not prove guilt. It becomes one investigative component.
I think cadaver dogs are only as good as their handler.
Among many. Investigators, they still need cooperation. But cadaver dogs absolutely can help narrow focus areas, especially in cases where investigators, they begin believing concealment may have occurred closer to home than originally suspected.
Yes, and it doesn't record everything either. People thinks it records 24/7. It doesn't. It only records in sections, if you will. It's not that.
So let's talk practically here, because What would investigators actually do
I'll
if
get some
they
green eyes,
seriously
thank you.
considered the possibility that Nancy remained near the area, near her home in the neighborhood? First, they would begin geographic reassessment, rebuilding movement probabilities from a scratch. You know, not assuming that she left the area, just actually challenging that assumption. And second, they would revisit all nearby properties connected directly or indirectly to persons of interest, such as maybe vacant lots.
Which, think about that. We were just speaking just a little bit ago about the assessor, right? About the assessor and Sheriff Nanos bitching about that. That may be why they were contacting the assessor, looking at lots. It might for Nancy of a suspect potentially.
Wash areas, outbuildings, storage units, vehicles, near rural properties. And third, they would conduct behavioral reassessments. Who inserted themselves unusually into this case? Who suddenly changed their behavior? Who became overly interested in
Or who fucking left the country?
this case? Who withdrew? Who stopped communicating? And who became emotionally unstable afterwards? Investigators, they look for all of this. Fourth, they would revisit overlooked terrain, because sometimes searches are initially based on one theory. Then later, you know, evidence changes direction.
Mm.
And finally, they would continue digital reconstruction, such as phones and, you know, location histories, vehicle telematics, Wi-Fi proximity, maybe even deleted
That's sweet,
searches,
Brandy.
cloud movement records, because digital evidence, it often tells investigators far more than offenders realize. One of the hardest lessons that investigators learn over
Pugs. Let me tell you something. And only pugs will know this, or anybody who has a pug or a German Shepherd. They're the best thing you could ever have, because it's impossible for someone to come in to unalive you and not walk out with hair. Pugs and German Shepherds, oh my God, they shed like crazy.
over time is this: people change. People break mentally. People they spiral emotionally, and they hide darkness extremely well. And yes, sometimes offenders are much closer to the victims than anyone initially believes. That possibility absolutely has to be explored in a case like this.
Oh my God, bless you.
Especially when the offender appears informed, especially when there's no obvious outbound movement trail publicly known, especially when timing and
Huskies,
confidence
yes.
suggest planning.
Yep.
Because random offenders usually leave chaos. Prepared offenders, they
shed love.
leave silence. In this case, it has had an unusual amount of silence. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think one of the biggest unanswered questions in this entire case is not simply
God bless
who took Nancy Guthrie. It's how. How does someone remove an 84-year-old woman from her residential neighborhood in modern America without creating a visible trail? That question matters. And until investigators can fully answer it, every possibility has to stay on the table, even the uncomfortable ones, even the theories that people do not want to think about, because the truth doesn't care about comfort. The truth only cares about evidence. And if there's truly no identifiable outbound surveillance trail connected to Nancy's disappearance, then yes, investigators, they absolutely should continue exploring the possibility that Nancy may still be much closer to home than anyone realizes. And if that possibility exists, then every inch of that surrounding area matters. every property, every wash, every abandoned structure, and every overlooked space, because cases have been solved before from evidence sitting far closer.
And the question is, why is Nanos not allowing searchers? Because searchers, that's what they do every day. Again, it's of zilch, zero cost to Nanos for United Cajun Navy, Texas EquiSearch to come in, and they have tools far beyond, far greater than law enforcement to when it comes to finding people's remains,
To
bodies.
the original scene than anyone expected. And before I close this out today, I want to say directly to the person responsible for what happened to Nancy Guthrie.
Go to
If
hell.
you're watching today, which I believe is highly possible,
He's watching.
you may believe that time helps you. You may believe that silence protects you, but technology evolves, investigations evolve. People talk, evidence surfaces, and many offenders throughout history believe that they got away with it until they didn't. Until the Nancy Guthrie family, there are still millions of people out there thinking about Nancy and wanting answers. You know, as always, let's just continue keeping Nancy Guthrie and her family in our thoughts and prayers. And to the person responsible, do the right thing.
That's right. Do the right thing. Big thank you to Brew Crew Beyond 50. Guys, again, please sub up to Brew Crew. I think he's truly one of the best around. I love his way of thinking. I love the way he talks. Just a real, very interesting way. Before we get to the thing with Nancy's friend, I wanted to show you this. Someone, again, you guys know how I feel about Porch Got Enhanced. Imagine what the FBI can do.
Right, so this is the image of the porch.
Why is it not? Hold on. Damn, 1 second.
Right, so this is the image of the porch guy without the backpack. Now, you're about to see some magic here by doing hardly anything. And let me know who you see in this image. Okay. As you can see, nothing AI going on. Yep. Nothing. Nada. Absolute. In fact, look, you can see
It's not AI.
the
It's
AI stylized up there. We're just on adjust settings. So nothing going on at all. Now, it's time to expose you. And it's a very apt slider. Can you tell who it is yet? Wow. Just wow.
Who do you think?
At all. Now, it's time to expose you. And it's a very apt slider.
You think so, Ratatouille? I think it looks like just the way he stands, and I mean, I do overlays with it. That's what I do. And one second here. And this is those lips and those eyes and that hook on the nose. me see here. Where's the other? Oops, over my phone. That's me though. Okay. Let me get to this. So, if you guys remember, there was a person that her name was Laura Serpa. She came out and spoke that she was Nancy's friend and all that. You guys remember that? May 12th, 3 days ago, she came out and said, Nancy Guthrie, I have just seen another article that places me as being a close friend of Nancy's. I am not. I haven't seen her in years or spoken to her in quite a while. I have never had the pleasure of meeting Annie, Cameron, and Savannah. I consider Nancy a friend for what she did for me years ago. It is not fair to the family that I represented as someone close. This, of course, will not stop me from keeping up the fight to find Nancy and keeping the awareness going for her. For anyone who is unfamiliar with my connection, please read the post I made on April 1st. My goal here uh, is now and has always been to do what I can to keep the 84-year-old beautiful soul out there until she's found. That's it. Her family and her close friends need her home. I'm not part of that group, even though she holds a special place in my heart for her kindness to me and words of wisdom. For that, I am grateful and consider her a friend. And I think she posts. Okay. People have asked me for a few weeks now on my page and a few YouTuber sites who I am and why I go out to Nancy's to take care of her memorial. Some people say maybe I was one of the people who abducted her, and others say, thanks for doing that. I guess she means the flowers thing. I assure you I had nothing to do with the crime, and my reason for keeping the memorial up are in a way selfish, I guess. I met Nancy almost 12 years ago at a farmer's market. My fiance had died from a brain aneurysm. Having nobody to turn to, I decided to get out of the house and go to the farmer's market to hopefully clear my head from extreme depression for a while. When I got there, I wasn't long before I knew that it wasn't going to work. While seeing happy couples together and families, I was just reminded of how happy Robert and I were. I didn't want to run through the people crying on the way back to my car, so I found a tree to sit under away from the crowd to try to collect myself so I could leave. No matter what I did, I couldn't stop crying. That's where Nancy comes in. I never met her before, but seeing me under the tree, she decided to come over to see if I was okay. She had a genuine concern for my situation. She ended up spending 25 minutes with me. I told her about Robert and how I couldn't seem to shake it, even though it had been less than a week since he passed. She told me about losing her husband to a sudden heart attack and totally knew where I was emotionally. She asked if I had any children, and I told her I had a son who was 17. She told me she had three. She had three. Her youngest was 16 when he died. She told me how important it is for me to be strong for my son because he needed me. The thing that she told me that for some reason meant the most the most to me and helped me then and still does today is, quote, when it becomes overwhelming, you have to remember to breathe, end quote. She said, go find a quiet spot where you can be alone, sit and close your eyes and clear your mind and just breathe. Breathe in and out slowly. Listen to the sound of the air as it comes in and comes out, and think of only that until you feel calm. She also explained to me the power of prayer and that I wasn't alone because God was with me. Nancy was my angel that day. I feel like God sent her to me. After that day, we always kept in touch. I had a new friend, and she was always a guardian angel. That's what I called for. I couldn't imagine why anyone would want to hurt such a beautiful person. When I go to her house and take her flowers, I pray for her as if she could hear me say, we will find you, Nancy. Just remember to close your eyes and breathe. So I hope that clears up the question. And if this reaches whomever took her, all I have to say is please bring her home, please. So many people miss her and need her back. And as Savannah said, it will never be too late to do the right thing. Where the hell did I go? So, yeah. So, you can tell Nancy was very sweet. Very, very sweet, you know. Okay. So I wanted to clear that up. She said she wasn't, like in her daily life, but they kept close. She seems to be a sweet lady. Yeah. Nancy was a really good person, you can tell. Most people, whenever you are out and about, the world is doing their thing, right? And people are, because all of us have been in probably a public situation at one time or another where you didn't feel like you were in the right place, or you felt out of place, or you were crying or whatever. And it takes a special person to come up to you and just talk to a stranger. So God bless Nancy for that. Hope she receives her rewards in heaven. I want to thank Summer Breeze. Thank you for the 200 jewels. I appreciate that very, very much, my friend. And 1 second as I pull this up. I've got to put the no commercials on my other channel here. Drives me nuts. Need to thank Angel Kisses. How you doing, darling? 30 jewels. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Sharon, thank you for the 10 jewels. Appreciate you, my dear. Sharon, thank you for the 30 jewels. Appreciate you. Arizona, thank you so much for the 200 jewels, my friend. Appreciate you very much. And Cloudy Ann, thank you for the 250 jewels. Really appreciate that, my friend. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for the 30 jewels, the 30 clutch jewels. Thank you, love. And Deb, thank you for the 100 Sunday jewels and the 500 tulips. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Angel Kisses, thank you again for the 30 jewels. Appreciate you, love. Miss Yarika, thank you for the 550 jewels. Really appreciate that, love. Cloudy Ann, thank you for the 100 jewels. Really much appreciated. Thank you so much. Wake Up, thank you so much for the 12 jewels, the hearts, and the stars. Thank you so much, love. Peace of Jesus, thank you so much for the 100 for the 210 jewels. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. The flowers, the sundae, the clutch, the flower, and the gold coin. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Sammy, thank you so much for the 260 jewels. Thank you so much for the thumbs up and the 260 jewels and the disco. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Just me. Thank you so much for the 250 jewels. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are very kind. I really appreciate you. Ginger, thank you for the 500 jewels. The disco. Thank you so much, love. Lovies, thank you for the 250 jewels. Thank you so much, love. Appreciate you very much. Jenny, thank you for the 30 clutch jewels. Thank you so much. Undeski, thank you for the 10 jewels, the 10 hearts, my dear. Kosha Leo, thank you for the 40 jewels, the floating hearts, and the flower. Thank you so much. Miss Sadie, thank you so much for the 250 jewels, the disco. Thank you so much. And Jetty, thank you for the 30 clutch jewels. Thank you so much. Scotia, thank you for the 2 jewels as well. And thank you for the other 2 jewels. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you very much. And I think that is it. Justin and I have our own community after dark. You are, old man 803, you're butt naked? Well, good for you, buddy. Good for you. I'm happy for you. You know what? No judgment here. No judgment here. Oh, okay. So this is where Brian corrected that. Okay. Yeah, he just said I'm butt naked. Like, good for you, buddy.
Something I know that's been a little bit confusing with the Nancy Guthrie investigation. I interviewed Sergeant Aaron Cross last
Me too,
week,
Lolo.
who is also the president of the Deputies Union, and he told me he had some new information that Nancy's family
Oh,
initially
that's a
was
block
telling the
comment.
detectives that they
Y'all didn't
did
see
think
it, but
she
I
may have
seen it.
walked away, which was kind of surprising to me. If you watched my podcast episode, I hadn't heard that before. It's actually the opposite of what I've been hearing. Well, Sergeant Cross clarified with me. He went back and talked to the detectives again and says that's actually not the case. That what happened is he's saying that according to the detectives who were there talking to the family, they thought she may have
What's that, Lori? You'll figure it out.
left
What's
on
going on,
her
baby?
own,
What
like
you
in
need
an
help, hun, with?
ambulance, or gone to the hospital, or had some kind of medical situation on her own and left on her own that way, not walked off. So just kind of interesting, like.
That's right. We love everyone here. I don't care if you're naked or have a nun's costume or uniform on. I love you. There's nothing you can do
There's
about
still
it.
so much confusion about the first couple of hours after Nancy went missing, exactly what did go down, but I just kind of wanted to clarify that. Today's been 100 days since Nancy Guthrie went missing, so if anyone has any information, call 1-800 call FBI.
Okay, so that was that. Okay, so I wanted to clear that up. Okay. She doesn't know how to send something, Justin. What is it? Lori, it's just the if you like want to send gifts or something, there's like a little dollar sign down there. You hit that, and then you can do super chat membership or member gifting, or you can hit the little gift sign, and like choose your gift like that. It's just right there beside the little box if you choose to do that. Honey. Thank you. So why did Nancy say they had searchers there? Sorry, why did Nano say they had searchers there? Well, they supposedly did search some, but so funny, Kels. And I'm just dancing with myself. Deborah, you are never dancing alone, girlfriend. You are never dancing alone. Yeah. So all of that. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you. I've been here 3 hours. And tomorrow is freaking Friday, and I just want to thank the good Lord in heaven above that tomorrow is Friday. Yes, yes. And we will, Lord willing, be here tomorrow. And if anything breaks, of course, in the Nancy Guthrie case, I am digging constantly. And I want Z to come out and show that passport. Thank you, piece of Jesus. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deborah, Lori, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me. Angel, it's coming. It's coming. I believe they know. I believe they know. Hopefully going to have Dr. Vanna on soon. Maybe Daphne will do a live or something. Send you a super chat next. Oh, you're good, honey. Thank you so much. You're fun, Summer. Thank you, baby. Appreciate you. You're very kind. Yes. It's a long weekend here in Canada. Monday is Victoria Day. You know something? Monday is not Victoria Day here in America, but I'm going to call in and tell them I'm not coming to work Monday. It's Victoria Day. They'll be like, what? Justin, what happened to Daniel's court? Daniel goes back to court to plead in July. They got new evidence and they postponed it for the second time. Maurice, did you have your grandson? Where's Maurice? I don't see Maurice. Is Maurice in here? There she is. The new little baby boy, grandbaby, you mean Pearl number 7, little Pearl number 7, arrived. My whole routine went in only one direction. Congratulations, Maurice. Pearl number 7. That's amazing. Aw. That's amazing. July. Dang, okay, yeah. It's okay. Daniel's TikTok. Daniel, that's all I gotta say to you. He triggers me bad. Such a liar. All right. Let's go to bed. Thank you guys. God bless you all. Appreciate you so much. Thank you guys. You guys have a billion options here on YouTube. And thank you for just being here. You have a lot of choices. I say that in the beginning of my intro, but I am very, very grateful for each of you. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you, mods, members, chat. Appreciate you all. God bless you. God keep you. Hug your loved ones. You only get so many trips around the sun. Good night, everyone. God bless.